Hello and welcome to the Notorious 14. I am Chad and I'd like to present to you today part 2 of the series of me going through George Eberhardt's book, Mysterious Creatures. If you guys are interested in following me along in this series, I'm going to drop the link to Amazon so you guys can buy the book. With all that being said, I'd like to say that I'm not very good at pronouncing some of the words of the cryptids and some of the locations, so just bear with me. I'll try my best. With all that being said, let's get into the video. Imagine that you're walking through the forest. You swear you hear something behind you, so you quickly turn around and shine your flashlight on this giant bipedal beast staring at you. You smell the stench of it and automatically think it's Sasquatch. But then you realize that this creature doesn't even have hair, and you're not even in the United States. You're in Western Asia. The locals call it ahool, or shy boy of the woods. Reported sightings have occurred throughout the 19th and 20th centuries. In fact, one of the most bizarre cases happened during the mid-19th century in Ajaria, Georgia. A nobleman named Agogwe was said to have captured an ahool in the woods surrounding Ajaria. He brought her to a local farm where the farmers put her to work. As she lived at the farmer took note of the strange behavior the creature he named Zena had. She seemed to be mute and only communicated using grunts and muttered noises. She only ate certain things such as grapes, and when it was night, she would dig a hole in the ground to sleep in. She was eventually trained to work on simple tasks around the farm and to fetch firewood during the wintertime. To make this case even more strange, Zena was said to have offsprings with some of the local men in town. Almost 100 years later, 2 of her grandchildren were interviewed by Boris Porshnev in 1964. One of them, Shalukula, was said to have been able to pick up a chair with a man in it using only his teeth. A few theories have emerged trying to explain what the ahool and Zena were, ranging from surviving Neanderthals to extraterrestrial beings. However, the most reasonable and conclusive theory is that the legend of the ahool was based on reported sightings of indigenous people living in the forest of Western Asia. This would explain why Zena was so intelligent and how she could reproduce with human males. Even more conclusively were the findings of the remains of Zena's son, Quit. Studying the structure of his skull and DNA testing read the same result. Zena was definitely and unquestionably a Homo sapiens. The Abominable Snowman. After tales came back from Mount Everest about a man-beast roaming the mountains, people were looking to read about the creature. The phrase abominable snowman was coined by Calcutta statesman columnist Henry Newman in 1921. But how did the creature get to be known as the abominable snowman? Let's find out. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Howard Bury led a reconnaissance expedition into Mount Everest. The group stumbled upon some tracks that Howard Bury thought the tracks may have been created by a loping gray wolf. His Sherpa guide said that it came from a Meto Kagmi. Meto would translate to man bear, and Kagmi would translate to the snowman. Confusion about the name probably came about after a telegraphist miscoded the Meto Kagmi to Mech Kagmi, where Newman claimed that Mech Kagmi translated to abominable snowman. However, we can see that the translation is supposed to be closer to man-bear snowman, as the word mech did not occur in the Sherpa language. The Abenisi. Tales recorded from Africa by early explorers include the mention of little men that inhabit the deep jungle. One such creature is the Abenisi. The Abenisi is a small hominid creature that allegedly lives in the northern Taiwanese Republic in Africa. It is a forest-dwelling primate that has long black hair. Many cryptozoologists, include Lauren Coleman, pointed out that the Abenisi could be part of a larger group of unknown primates that inhabit Africa because of similar reports that come from different parts of the continent. Possible theories of the Abenisi range from a misidentified chimpanzee to a surviving relic of the Australopithecus. Bernard Heuvelmans, the father of cryptozoology, postulates that the Abenisi could have been a human. In his book, The Human Beast of Africa, Heuvelmans is quoted as saying, "Now there is no name, even among the anthropoids, which normally walk upright on its hind legs. Perhaps they are therefore really little men." The term ABSM will pop up once in a while when I've been researching unknown hominids from around the world. ABSM, standing for Abominable Snowman, was coined by researcher Ivan T. Sanderson in his book, Abominable Snowman, Legend Come to Life. He later adapted the term to discuss any unknown primates from around the world. So if you've ever seen this term while researching cryptozoology, now you know what it stands for. The Abyssal Rainbow Gar. The abyssal rainbow gar is a cryptid deep-sea fish spotted only once by William Beebe during a bathysphere dive off the coast of Bermuda in 1934, nearly 2,500 feet below the Atlantic Ocean's surface. Beebe noted the creature seemed to be 4 inches long, with slender and stiff bodies and long, sharp pointed jaws. They had scarlet heads, blue bodies, and yellow tails, which is very abnormal at the recorded depth. Normally, creatures at this depth lack any colorful bodies, as they want to blend in with the darkness. He relayed these details by radio to his colleague, Gloria Hollister, who was at the ocean surface. The abyssal rainbow gar was one among many of the weird fish Beebe described on his descent, but it remains the only fish he did not assign a scientific name to. There's been countless theories of what the fish could have been, ranging from misidentified giant dragonfish to a hoax created by Beebe. What do you think? The giant acorn worm. The adult version of the type, Planktosphera pelagica, has never been observed in the wild. The larva measures much larger than the regular acorn worm and may result in a fully matured specimen ranging in size from up to 9 feet. If they were to exist, the creatures would live in mud at a depth of over 250 feet deep. Along with the abyssal rainbow gar, I believe this cryptid has a very high chance of existing, since there is much of the ocean left to be discovered. The Adam Ayu is a wild man that has been spotted in the Tian Shan Mountains in northern Xinjiang Autonomous Region in China. Many early Yeti explorers quickly grouped this cryptid into sightings of the abominable snowman. However, there are many different characteristics that may separate the two hominids. The Yeti is described as being more ape-like, while the Adam Ayu is described to resemble a man. If the creatures do exist, I believe they would be two separate species. From the very brief entries in the Encyclopedia, I can piece together that the Adam Ayu and the Adam Zepas are probably the same creatures but known by different names to the local people. I can base this on two facts: that the creatures are both allegedly sighted in the Xinjiang Autonomous Region of China, and both have Adam, which translates to man. For clarity, Adam Ayu is Kazakh for man bear, while Adam Zepas is Kyrgyz for wild man. Both Kazakh and Kyrgyz fall under the Kipchakik branch of Turkic, so I believe that the two names are referring to the same cryptid, the Agogwe. One of the simpler cases of cryptozoology is that of the Agogwe. This cryptid canine has been spotted in the North African region, close to the Sahara Desert. The creature is described as being 2.5 feet tall and weighing an estimated 30 to 45 pounds. It is also reported to hunt in packs, ranging from 3 to 13 dogs. Many of the local people claim that the canine has supernatural powers of sorts. Theodore Monod first reported the Agogwe in 1928, and there has been several sparse sightings of the creature, the last being in 1992 by some hunters of a village in western Mauritania. Despite the lack of sightings, it may be fairly simple to distinguish that this cryptid is an African wild dog that is outside of its usual range, that may have varied into a subspecies. The Agogwe Titan. The Agogwe Titan, a Big Four mountain man, is a wild man that has allegedly been spotted in the northwestern Caucasus Mountains of Russia. It is described to closely resemble the Abnau in appearance. In fact, it could actually be the same creature. Throughout the series, we're going to see many instances where multiple entries in the encyclopedia seem to be discussing the same creature from two different cultures. However, it is very important to note that if many different cultures seem to describe the same creature, something must be lurking in the woods. The Afa is a scientifically undiscovered lizard that is reported to inhabit the marshes at the mouth of the Tigris River. Only once reported by explorer Wilfred Thesiger in his book, The Marshy Arabs. The creature belongs only to the folklore of the local Madan people, although it is theorized that the Sarush depicted in the Ishtar Gates could be that of an Afa. Despite the lack of sightings, Carl Schucker believes that the Afa could be a large, undescribed species of monitored lizard. He also notes that the marshes where the Afa is said to inhabit were destroyed in 1991 in efforts to force the Madan people to relocate and turn the marshes into the desert that it is now. If the creature once existed in the marshes, we may now never know its true identity. At time, we have a new affiliation with Dovey. They have a lot of good flavors on their website, including like Japanese yuzu, which is my favorite. They also have blue raz, which is like my second favorite. If you'd like to support our channel, please click the link provided in the description below and get 10% off of your order. And back to the video. The Afonk is a lake monster from Welsh mythology that has been described to resemble a crocodile, beaver, and even a shape-shifting demon. The beast is said to lay in wait for anyone who is foolish enough to swim in the lake. Legend has it that the creature was trapped when a maiden allowed it to rest on her lap. When the creature was resting, the villagers of a nearby town surrounded it and attempted to tie it up. The creature woke up in a fury and killed the maiden and several villagers. The beast was finally put to rest when Sir Percival of the Knights of the Round Table killed the beast. The Ifanya. Described as being a man-like beast, the Afanya was spotted by 6 teenage boys who were out on a fishing trip in 1988. They reported that they were followed for a few days by the Afanya and were even harassed in their cabin by the beast. They nicknamed the creature Afanya, which could have been a diminutive form of the name Afanasi, but the boys probably got the name from the title of a Russian movie, Afanya, which is about a plumber who spends his day drinking until he meets a nurse who makes him into a good citizen. A local game warden also reported seeing the Afanya. After the initial sighting, a team of researchers visited the area where the creature was spotted. They managed to catch a glimpse of the creature before it ran back into the woods. This was enough to motivate the researchers to return the following summer with more supplies. The lead researcher, Maya Bakova, was able to create a call that enticed the creature to come closer. On one occasion, she was able to lure the beast to the cabin where the boys stayed. On this trip, the team was able to capture audio recordings of the creature, several footprints, hair samples, and additional eyewitness testimonies. Many of the audio recordings were analyzed by Leonid Yershov and remain inconclusive to this day. The Agogwe. The Agogwe is yet another of the many reported wild men in Russia, described in very similar detail as the Abnau. The Agogwe resembles that of a prehistoric man. Sometimes they are even described as wearing clothes. This may sound surprising since many people seem to think that all wild men look more like a Sasquatch in appearance than that of a human. In his book, In the Footsteps of the Russian Snowman, Dmitry Bayanov postulates that the Abnau, the Agogwe, and many more wild men of Russia may be part of one species that is only separated by language barriers. The Agogwe. The Agogwe is a small human-like biped cryptid that has been reported in the dense forests of Tanzania in East Africa. Ranging from 4 to 5 feet, the Agogwe has been described as being adorned with brown hair covering its body. Captain William Hitchens reported seeing the creature in the 1920s. In the December 1937 edition of the journal Discovery, he writes, "Some years ago I was sent on an official lion hunt in this area, and while waiting in the forest glade for man-eater, I saw 2 small brown furry creatures come up from the dense forest on one side of the glade and disappear into the thickets on the other. They were like little men, about 4 feet high, walking upright but clad in russet hair. The native hunter with me gazed in mingled fear and amazement. They were," he said, "Agogwe, the little furry men, whom one does not see once in a lifetime." After its initial publishing, the journal Discovery received a letter from Vintner Cuthbert Burgoyne, who described seeing a very similar creature in 1927. He recounted the time that he and his wife were on a Japanese cargo boat coasting along Portuguese East Africa. They were close enough to land to make out objects with a telescope. On the beach were walking 2 pure white baboons. Suddenly, 2 upright walking small humanoids walked out of the forest and toward the baboons. Burgoyne noted that they could not have been human since the baboons would have been scared away. Both men in the report said that the creature they witnessed could have been a monkey, but several other theories could also explain what the mysterious Agogwe is. Bernard Heuvelman purports in his book, Les Bêtises Humaines d'Afrique, that the Agogwe could be a surviving relic of the Australopithecus. With the findings of a fossilized Australopithecus near the area of sighting, it could be feasible that the creature could still exist. In his Encyclopedia, George Eberhardt sums it up nicely. Since East Africa is the probable birthplace of early hominid species, its traditions of small, hairy men are tantalizing. The Agrios anthropos is a gorilla-like creature that has reports originating from western Libya. Sightings of the creature describe the animal as having long hair that covers its whole body. I have not been able to find a lot of information on the creature, and the only source mentioned in the Encyclopedia is Aubrey de Saint-Lecourt's translation of Herodotus's The Histories. The leading theory of what the wild man could be is that the reports were a distortion of chimpanzee and gorilla sightings from southern Africa that migrated to Libya. The Aid Milo, believed to be a sea serpent in the belief of the Barak people of New Ireland, Papua New Guinea. The Aid Milo, meaning fish eel, is described as being 50 feet long with a head like a snake. It moves through the water with vertical undulations. It sports a frill on its greenish-gray back. There are 2 main reports of the Aid Milo near Ramat Bay in New Ireland. The first report was by an unnamed witness in August 1958. They described 4 gray-green loops undulating out of the surface roughly 10 feet apart. No head was visible, but the witness reported a frill on the creature's back and a 2 feet long segmented tail. Several years later, on April 26, 1981, Bernie Gash and several members of his family reported seeing a creature roughly 600 to 900 feet away. They reported the same details as eyewitness in 1958, but they were also able to get a description of the creature's python-like head, 10 to 15 feet long and 2 feet wide. That is a massive head. After the head was submerged underneath the ocean, several humps broke the surface of the water. Several theories of the creature ranged from many humped sea serpents to misidentification of a family of whales. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. The ahool. The ahool is a giant bat-like creature that inhabits the mountains in the western part of Java. The locals named the creature after its terrifying call, ahool. Its habitat ranges from Java all the way to Papua New Guinea, where many reports of the ropin, a very similar giant bat-like cryptid, have been filed. The two most well-known reports are attributed to naturalist Dr. Ernest Bartels, who has claimed to come in contact with a ahool on 2 separate occasions. The first occasion took place in 1925 when he was exploring a waterfall on the Salek Mountains when a giant bat flew above his head. He was unable to get a good look at the creature as it was moving too fast for him to get notes on any discernible features. In 1927, Bartels was sleeping in his thatched house when he was awoken by a peculiar call of an animal he has never heard before. He noted that the creature's call sounded like, ahool. Thank you for watching part 2 of this series. I'm sorry that it's taken so long to get it out to you. Life just got in the way for a little bit, and there was summer and I was enjoying outdoor activities. I'm glad to say that I am back at creating more videos, so there's a couple I have planned to be released in the near future, so I'll definitely stay tuned for that. And if you're not, please subscribe to this channel so you won't miss those videos. And to you guys who are subscribed, just remember that you were here at the beginning, and I have a lot more plans for this channel. Thank you for the support, and until the next video, you guys have a great day. Bye.